Welcome back to the Content Marketing Playbook. It's your host, Josh Culler with Culler Media. And today's episode is going to be kind of interesting, a little bit different than what you might expect from a content marketing perspective. I'm going to use the entire podcast is going to be kind of just an example from another industry that maybe you've heard of before. It's called the movie industry, right? So this is specifically, you're listening, you probably read the title, so you're listening to this right now. We're going to be talking about using content marketing to actually unveil a product. Now, when I say product, that could be for instance, I was on the phone this morning with a potential client, a prospect, who was asking about unveiling a course. So what content do I need to put out in advance to build up some hype and promote my course that I'm going to be putting out there on the internet? So it could be a course, it could be a book. This is a book is like a really big one. So like the launch for a book. It could be any product, any service that you have coming up. What type of content marketing do you put out in order to unveil that, in order to build the hype and the anticipation when it comes to actually getting some leads in and then actually converting those leads through content marketing? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And again, this could be anything. So if you're a fitness gym, I use a fitness gym for a lot of examples, but if you're a fitness gym and maybe there's a new workout that you're going to be doing, a one-on-one workout service for somebody to come in and they get you for 30 minutes, that kind of thing, this applies to that as well. Or maybe you have a bakery and you have a new cupcake that's coming out. It could be applied to just about anything. And so these are principles that are taken from the actual movie industry in order to implement it and promote a new movie that's coming out, and how to get people to the premiere, how to get people to actually buy the Blu-ray and DVD when it comes out, or the digital copy when it comes out. So we're going to be talking about that. What type of content do you put out to unveil a product, a service, or anything that you would actually sell? And we're going to be talking about that. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the Content Marketing Playbook. Lots of awesome content specifically talking about content marketing in relation to your business. Maybe you're an entrepreneur or business owner that doesn't have a marketing person on your team. Maybe you are the marketing person and you just want to learn more about content marketing. That's the only thing we talk about. Now, that being said, we do talk about marketing in general in some points, because why put out content marketing if you're not actually going to push to get leads and convert those leads? But this is specifically about content marketing. So we do tie that in with marketing in some way, shape, or form throughout the actual episodes here. But there's a lot of a lot of great marketing podcasts out there. And so not trying to get in the mix with those. The only thing we talk about is content marketing. So subscribe if you haven't, and leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts if you're listening on there and after this episode. Make sure you do that. And then reach out to me if you have any questions. Josh@cullermedia.com. Culler spelled Culler. Happy to answer any questions that you may have about content marketing, about this episode specifically, this topic. Maybe you have a topic that you want me to cover on this podcast. Would be more than happy to connect with you and help point you in the direction that you need to go when it comes to content marketing. All right, so let's talk about the episode today. This isn't going to be too much of a lengthy one, because this is going to be a lot more strategic, not really philosophical, not really theoretical. This is actual facts of how movies unveil in order to get people to come to the premiere, and then even after the movie has been released in theater, afterwards, how do you continue to sell the movie through Blu-rays, DVDs, digital copies, and that sort of thing. So we're going to be talking about this and taking a little bit of a closer look at how the movie industry does this and how you can apply it to your new product, new service, or whatever is coming down the pipe for you. So typically, a movie, it takes from the time that they have it conceptualized to the writing, to the filming, to the production, and then the actual unveiling. Normally, that's a very long time period. Some movies take 10 years. Some movies take 2 or 3 years. There's a long period of time. Now, I'm not telling you for your product you need to take that long of a time, but you do want to give yourself enough time to be able to implement all these strategies from the time you have the idea for the product or service to the time you actually unveil it. So just make sure you're giving yourself enough time to implement these things to build up that anticipation. So the one thing that we're going after here is one word for the entire strategy behind this. It's anticipation. Anticipation is a That's the one emotion that the movie industry wants to invoke in you. So let's give you a for instance. I was just watching Avengers Endgame, literally one of my favorite movies of all time. I could watch that thing over and over and over again. And yes, I know it's 3 hours, but I'm cool with it because it's one of my favorite movies. And I just remember that they had about 1 year from the time Avengers Infinity War came to fruition and actually was unleashed. It was about a year until Endgame came out. So they only had a year to actually like get that anticipation built up for people to come to it and everything. And so I just remember the movie poster getting unveiled. I remember the trailers coming out for it and all this other like anticipation. They had a lot of like merchandise come out for like t-shirts and the Funko Pops and like all this other kind of merchandise that came out to build the anticipation for this movie. And it was one of the highest grossing movies that has ever existed. And they only really had a year to really build the anticipation for that because they were so busy building anticipation for Infinity War. And so if you are not living under a rock, you've probably heard of Avengers Endgame. Even if you've never watched it, you've probably seen a lot of things about it. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive on how they actually build the anticipation for that, so that when you do get to that movie, you're like ready to go emotionally. You're super excited. You're taking a picture at the movie theater in front of the movie poster saying about to watch Avengers Endgame, and then people are commenting on it, asking how it was and that kind of thing. That's what you want from your customers when you're unveiling a product or a service. So how do we do this? The first thing, I'm going to kind of give you a rundown of what the movie industry does front facing towards the customer in order to build that anticipation. Now, there's probably a lot of intricate things that they do in between here that we probably won't discuss, but if I'm happy to discuss it if you bring it up, maybe in an email or whatever. But these are kind of the front-facing things of how they actually promote a movie. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into how you can use this as well. And hopefully this will spark some thoughts for you as we go along. So the first thing is, what they normally do is they will unveil a movie poster first. Now, we're talking about more modern movies, but this is something that's gone on for as long as movies have existed. But what they'll typically do is, the movie production, whether that's Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, Paramount, whatever, they will unleash I like to use the word unleash, they will put out a movie poster. So let's just say, for instance, I'm going to use the example of Avengers Endgame, right? So the movie poster they put out for Avengers Endgame had Thanos with his Infinity Gauntlet and all these other superheroes that were surrounding him and that kind of thing. And that was like the first scene that you could see of Avengers Endgame. And it gives you a little bit of a brief description of who's going to be in it, what this thing is all about, and typically it has like the main characters on there and that kind of thing. So how do you use that? You can take your product, put that out on a graphic, and it doesn't have to be fully ready. I mean, when I was talking to this guy about unleashing his course and unveiling his course, I don't know why I keep using the word unleashing. I like that word a lot. It's a cool word. But when I was talking to this guy about unveiling his course, I said, like, you don't even have to have the entire thing produced before you put out a graphic talking about what the topic is going to be. So put out a graphic that's a photo of you, and then maybe across your, there's a little graphic, some words that come across the poster basically that says what the course is about, and then put that out and say, coming fall of 2020, something like that. So it's just something that is the initial announcement of what's going on, and you just put that out there. So if you're a fitness gym and you have a new a workout routine that's coming out, take a little poster of you and then just say what the workout routine is, just a little bit of a snapshot, and put that out and just build anticipation. You don't even have to say coming out October 21 of 2020. Like, you don't have to even give a specific date. It's just something to get it out there to say, hey, this is coming, more information to come. And you're just building that anticipation. That kind of like caps it off right there. The next thing is the first trailer. So a lot of times the first trailer you'll find in movies, I remember this happening with Avengers Infinity War and then Also Rogue One, the Star Wars movie Rogue One, where they would put out, and there's tons of other movies this happened with before, but they put out a trailer, the first trailer, and there are scenes in that trailer that actually don't make it into the movie. So if you think about Avengers Infinity War, and this is like totally me going out here, but I'm using this as an example, so even if you haven't seen it, you're still going to get the picture. But in Avengers Infinity War, this is the first, this is the prequel to Endgame. They actually had a trailer that went out of a bunch of the heroes that were in Wakanda fighting off Thanos' army, and they had them running towards the camera, and they had the Incredible Hulk looking like the Incredible Hulk running towards the camera. Now, if you have seen Infinity War, you would know that the Incredible Hulk doesn't actually turn green in that movie, the entire movie. It was kind of annoying, but that's just how it was. He actually used the Hulkbuster, the Iron Man suit, during that movie. Now, he does turn green in Endgame, but that being said, in this first trailer, they showed him as the green Incredible Hulk, but he didn't actually become that. And so this goes to show you, even big movies like that, maybe it wasn't a mistake, but it's just something that they included, and you know that the full movie was not produced at that point. So these are just snapshots, just the little things that happen inside of that movie that they're going to show you. So it could be the pivotal points. It could be the main characters that are in it, some very intensive scenes that are in the movie. This is what's included in that first trailer. Now, this is primarily going to be a video. So if you have a product, if you have, again, let's just use it for an example. If you have a book that's coming out and you want to put a trailer out there. Maybe you're recording yourself reading some of the chapters, or you're out there talking about it. Maybe you're a real estate investor and you're out at a property talking about one of the chapters or whatever. These are just the nuggets, the little bits of information, 1 to 2 minute video trailer that's going to go out. Now, that is primarily the first motion picture that people will see, and this has to be good and enticing but not perfect. So just like I gave you the examples of the scenes that were in those movies that did not actually make it into the featured film. So the first trailer is the next thing. The next thing is ticket pre-order. So this is a big one where they will put out there, and this happens with a lot of the Star Wars movies that have come out. I'm a big Star Wars fan. And they'll actually, because Disney owns ESPN and Star Wars, they actually have the first movie trailer this is what they've done for the past several movies. They'll have the first movie trailer go out on a Monday Night Football halftime show. That's just to build anticipation, which is really smart for ESPN, where they'll actually have that first trailer go out during the halftime show of a Monday Night Football game. And then right after that show, then all of the distributors for the tickets for the movies go on sale, right? And so that's something that you could do as well, is build some anticipation for the actual sale of it, which is pre-orders. So even if you have a book, you can start pre-orders and build some anticipation around that through content, which could be through the another poster. It could be through another, just a graphic that says pre-orders available now, or you even put one out, pre-orders available on October 21, 2020, book coming out, November 20 of 2020, something like that. So this is a really big way that you can actually promote your product or service, is through the pre-orders, but building content that is going to direct people to that pre-order. So you do have to make sure that you have a pre-order page. So if you're a backpack company and you have pre-orders for your backpack, whether that's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, or it's just native to your website, you got to make sure that you do that. So pre-orders is a really big one, and you can take advantage of content marketing through graphics or videos with that, or both. All right, so the next thing is graphic unveiling the nuggets and the pivotal points. So again, this is going back to kind of that first trailer. This could be your second or even your third trailer about what the product is about. And you can give a little bit more insight as to what people can expect when it comes to the product or service. Even giving some of the key moments away, like some of the biggest downfalls, I think, to movie trailers is giving away some of the biggest pivotal points in the movie. But people love that. They want to see what they're going to get into. And the movie industry, the producers, they know that. They know people want to see what's actually going to happen in the movie, even if it gives away some of the movie plot. They're still, they're not giving away the whole enchilada, but they're giving some of the sauce, right? So this is something that you could do as well. Next thing is reviews for the movies. So when a movie comes out, Forbes is going to review it, Rotten Tomatoes is going to review it, IGN, like all these other big movie critics will actually review the movie. So they'll give it 9 out of 10 stars, and then they have a little like tagline of, Avengers Infinity Game, Avengers and Infinity War, Avengers of Endgame was incredible movie or something like that. Just something basic, that's an example I'm using. But you can do this with your product or service as well. And this is called beta testers. So typically these are people that are going to jump on the course. So let's say, for instance, you have a course that you're putting out there. People jump on the course, they're going to take the course, and then they write you a review for that. Now you can take those reviews, and I know I'm going into some very strategic things of what you could do for launching a product or service, but I'm centering this around the content that you could put out to launch that product. So just keep that in mind, right? So you're taking these reviews and you actually create more trailers, more movie trailers for that product and graphics. So you could even take just a screenshot of, just like you would a regular testimonial or a Google review, take a screenshot of that testimonial or that review and put that out there on a graphic, or put that out there on another trailer, and just talk about that kind of thing. So this is a really big opportunity for you to be able to take your reviews and the critics, the people that are beta testing your product or service, and create content out of that. So that's, and I mean, a lot of this is double dipping too, but that's what content marketing is. It doesn't matter. This is how you can put content out in order to unveil your product. And those movie critics, they have really big establishments in the industry, so people trust them. So a really smart thing for you to do would be to go after people that have an established audience and have them review your product or service. And this is kind of more going along the lines of collaboration, but ask them to put out some content about your product or service. And that can push people back to your product and have them pre-order. And then you can leverage, obviously, for instance, like one of my favorite backpack companies is Nomadic. And I have like all the Nomadic backpacks here. One backpack I don't have is the Peter McKinnon backpack, which Peter McKinnon's a really big YouTube influencer. He's a videographer, cinematographer. And they co-branded a backpack product with him. And so they actually put out a pre-order. They did all these things that we're talking about, right? So they did a poster of him, like he posted a photo of the backpack with his logo on it and that kind of thing. And then they came out with a trailer for it, and then the pre-orders, and then the graphics unveiling some of the more like cooler features inside of the backpack. And then they had critics. So they actually had Peter McKinnon review the backpack before it even went out to market so you could buy it. And so these are things that you could do. And then the last thing is hyping up the opening day. So you got to make sure you can use all of these things content-wise to hype up opening day. Now, a lot of this is going to be social media based, right? Because social media is the direction that you want to put things out, because it can go viral, it can pick up, it can be shared, it can be sent everywhere that you could possibly think of. So putting out these graphics, putting out these videos, and all this other stuff that you can content-wise is going to significantly improve your launch day for your product or service, whether that is a book, a course, or anything else that hits market. So hype that up, hype up opening day. And the reason you're doing that is because this is a really good opportunity, because once it gets past that opening day, now it's just another product that's out there. There's no more major hype. Even though Avengers Endgame is still one of the greatest movies, in my opinion, that exists, you don't really hear very many people talking about it anymore. And there's a reason, because everybody's seen it and it's gone away. It's by the wayside now. Some people will still watch it, but it's not something that like there's this big buzz around it anymore. That's because it's already come out, and now you could still purchase it. You could still buy it and then watch it, but there's not that much hype. So make sure you take advantage of opening day, build that hype, and you do that all through the content marketing you put out. So those are kind of the steps that the movie industry uses in order to unveil a movie, and how you can apply it to yours. Now, I got a few more things here that I want to review and just recap. So the first thing is making sure that you keep the focus on your product and how it will help the customer. And same thing for services or anything else that you have. So if you have a book, make sure you are focusing on how that is going to help the customer. So if you're writing a book about brain food, make sure that you put content out there about how brain food can help somebody in their everyday life, how brain food impacts your overall health, and how brain food improves your focus and stuff like that. Like, make sure you're centering that content around the customer and how your product or service will help them in their everyday life or whatever the purpose of that product or service is. The next thing is promote the high points. Make sure you are giving those pivotal scenes in the movie out there in the content. Now, you obviously don't want to give away like I said, the entire enchilada, but you do need to give a lot of the sizzle over to that and the salsa and maybe even some of the beans that are in there. Like, I don't know why I keep going to these analogies, but I don't even like enchiladas. But you guys get the picture. Give away some of the nuggets, some of the key information and points inside of your product or service that is going to help somebody get a little bit more hype around what they're looking at. The next thing is, again, recapping, make sure you allow the beta testers to give you testimonial. So if you do have somebody beta testing, make sure that you get a good written testimonial or review from them as a critic so that you can put that out there in your content, in graphics, in your trailers. And I mean, if you see the trailers that go out a lot of times right before launch day, like 2 weeks before launch day, before the premiere happens for the movie, you'll see the trailer, like towards the end, it has like IGN rates 9 out of 10 stars and says this is a key movie inside of the Marvel universe or whatever. And then Forbes says blank, blank, blank. Like you see those trailers. And that's kind of the idea behind all this. And the last thing I got here is use the graphics, videos, and if you have an email base, emails to actually promote the product itself. So you do want to push it out there. At some point, you want to make sure you're trying to get people to actually pull the trigger. And the key thing is in your content, make sure you are directing them to that pre-order page. You want to make sure you're doing that, and you can do that powerfully through your content. So in the video, say there's a link below, make sure you click that in order to pre-order the book. Or in the copy itself, make sure you make that very evident that this link is going to give you the pre-order to that. So this is all content related stuff that you can do to actually unveil a product or service. Hopefully this was very relatable to you, and if you don't watch movies and you don't consume movies, then I'm sorry, but these are just some things that the movie industry does in order to build anticipation for a movie and how you can. And all that stuff that I'm mentioning that the movie industry does, that's all content, guys. That's all content marketing. And so you can use that for your product or service as well. So if you have any questions about this, you need some more ideas, give me a shout, josh@colormedia.com. But that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining in and listening today. Hopefully it brought you some value. And if it did and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, head back over to my homepage for this podcast. Leave me a 5-star review. That would be much appreciated. And again, if you have questions, need to chat about some content marketing, reach out to me, josh@colormedia.com. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining in and listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See you later.